Kyle Busch accuses his former crew chief of quitting on him, and NASCAR midweek races continue to flop. We've got a lot to talk about before the Daytona 500. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric and welcome to Out of the Groove. Happy Friday, a full weekend of super speedway action, trucks tonight, Xfinity tomorrow night, and of course the Daytona 500 for the Cup Series on Sunday. I'm extremely excited, and after last night's dramatic duel finish, I am pumped up, but we've got some things to talk about before this weekend's racing action. First, an all-new issue of the Out of the Groove Weekly Viewer's Guide is now available for you guys to read, watch, check out that top link down in the description. Give it a read, let me know what you think. Got some other content creators making some cameos in there as well, so hope you guys enjoy it. Today's episode is also brought to you by Alka Seltzer. Alka Seltzer starts neutralizing acid in seconds for heartburn relief. It's also perfect to combat indigestion or an upset stomach. Alka Seltzer is a trusted brand. It's been a household name for decades. If you're not feeling 100%, turn to Alka Seltzer, available at Walmarts everywhere. Thank you to Alka Seltzer for being an amazing partner and great supporter of Out of the Groove and NASCAR. Now, segueing from that a bit, this week has been full of great racing action, from the Clash and that dramatic finish to especially Duel 2 late last night. If you stayed up through the rain delay, that was an amazing finish between Austin Dillon, Bubba Wallace. There have unfortunately been some drivers who've gotten the short end of the stick. So today, NASCAR confirmed several teams that will have to go to the rear. We'll be going to backup cars for the Daytona 500. They include outside pole sitter William Byron, who was caught up in a wreck late in last night's duel race. Also Brad Keselowski, Cole Custer, rookie Anthony Alfredo, Ross Chastain, and Kaz Grala, who will need to go to a backup car, but he did luckily advance into the big show with his performance in duel race number 2, more importantly with David Reagan's performance in duel race number 2. But those are all the drivers as of now that are expected to go to backup cars and will start at the rear on Sunday. Alex Bowman, your pole sitter, of course, had a brief scare in his duel race last night when he came down pit road and put up the hood, fearing engine issues. Hendrick Motorsports confirmed again today that they are not planning to swap out the engines or go to a backup or anything like that. They've determined that whatever plagued them last night is not going to be an issue on Sunday, so as of now, Alex Bowman will start on the pole position for the Daytona 500, but the running order behind him is going to shuffle up a little bit. But just wanted to mention that so you know where your favorite driver is actually going to start the Daytona 500 on Sunday. Now, segueing again, there's been a lot of positivity around NASCAR this week. The Clash was a great race. I thought the duels were widely entertaining. I'm excited for trucks tonight, but one bit of news that came out this week that has to be a bit disappointing, albeit not surprising, is the news that was reported earlier this week by Adam Stern from Sports Business Journal. TV ratings for the Busch Clash, a Tuesday night race, were pretty lousy. FS1 earned 1.577 million viewers for the Tuesday night Busch Clash, down from 2.45 million for last year's race, although that was run on a Sunday when NASCAR typically rates better. Nearly 1 million fewer viewers tuned into this year's very exciting Busch Clash, I thought, in my opinion, as opposed to last year's disaster of a Busch Clash, again in my opinion. That's a bit of a bummer, but not too surprising. The only reason the Busch Clash was run on a Tuesday this year was to avoid conflict with the Super Bowl. Usually the Super Bowl is about 2 weeks before the Daytona 500, so they have that weekend in the middle that NASCAR can run the Clash. This year's scheduling, it did not work out that way. Super Bowl and Daytona are backing each other up back to back. NASCAR decided to move the Busch Clash to Tuesday night. They kind of had to do it because you do not want to go up against any sort of Super Bowl coverage on Super Bowl Sunday. Unfortunate that the scheduling worked out this way, but NASCAR used this as yet another chance to test out midweek races. Are fans really tuning into midweek races, or is this just a pipe dream that's never going to come to fruition? Based on last year's midweek races and now this midweek race, midweek races are dead, y'all. I mean, I pretty much pronounced them dead like last fall, but if they weren't dead then, they're certainly dead now. They were zombified briefly. They came back to life for this week, I guess, but now they should be gone for good. Midweek races are not going to have a place in NASCAR, especially not in the near future. When you've been racing on primarily one specific day of the week for decades, you can't just expect to change everyone's viewing habits overnight. People aren't going to figure it out. Not everyone's going to keep up with the schedule every single week, and people are going to miss out. The Busch Clash Tuesday was especially difficult because it was the first race of the season. There wasn't a Sunday race the week before to let all the viewers know that, hey, tune in Tuesday for the Busch Clash. It was very difficult for NASCAR to get the word out about this Tuesday night exhibition season opener. So numbers disappointing, but not surprising. I think it's clear midweek races are basically on the back burner at this point. Don't expect any midweek races in the near future, at least not points paying midweek races. No, Bad idea. Now, before we talk about Kyle Busch's interesting comments about his former crew chief Adam Stevens, I want to talk about some other Adam Stern tweets that he put out earlier this week. Fox Sports remains bullish on NASCAR ratings this year after a stable 2020 and compelling storylines for 2021, per Michael Mulvihill. With little practice or qualifying this year, Mulvihill also noticed the industry should keep in mind how valuable that content had traditionally been to Fox. Michael Mulvihill is an executive vice president at Fox Sports. He said again, another Adam Stern tweet from just this morning on NASCAR practice and qualifying, he says, "It rates at a level that really makes it important for us. I can't speak to the way the teams or drivers think about it, but just as a media partner, we don't take that content lightly at all. We want to have as much as we can." If NASCAR can't take that hint, they're just clueless at this point, because there you have a top member of Fox Sports explicitly warning NASCAR that, hey, we know 2020 was weird. We know 2021 is going to be a bit weird as well, but this whole no practice, no qualifying thing, that needs to go away as quick as possible. It doesn't get any more explicit than what Michael Mulvihill is saying right there in those quotes. And so I tweeted this yesterday, and I've talked about this on the show before, but you guys know my opinion about practice and qualifying. Do we need 2, 3, 4 hours of practice every week going forward? No, but as soon as is humanly possible, NASCAR needs to bring back practice, at least one happy hour for each series every single weekend, as well as at the very least single car qualifying every single weekend. I'm saying this as a fan who enjoys watching practice and qualifying from time to time. It's a very passive experience, but like I said in my video earlier this week, it's a great way to catch up on storylines before the actual race on Sunday or whenever it may be. But also from a competitive standpoint, I think it's a disservice to all of the crew members and team members who put in hours upon hours of work developing and building these race cars behind the scenes during the week to then just turn them loose on Sunday without any chance to fine tune or make sure, wires are plugged in correctly. It feels like a disservice to the work they put in each and every week. And then as far as qualifying is concerned, I do not want to see random draws determining playoff race starting lineups. With stage racing the way it is, 50 laps into a race, teams are getting points. And if you draw 20th as opposed to drawing like the pole position, that's costing you points right there, and you had no chance to earn that spot. You just were given it. Just bad luck. I know we talked about bad luck in racing. A lot of bad luck can be chalked up to maybe putting yourself in a bad situation, but quite frankly, last year, the way the playoffs and the end of the regular season worked out, the way you drew in those random draws was just bad luck. It's just quite simply just bad luck costing drivers, playoff points or stage points. NASCAR's goal should be to bring back practice and qualifying for every race, for every series, starting in 2022. You don't need to keep the teams there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Maybe you have practice on Saturday, and then maybe you have qualifying Sunday morning. Fans who buy tickets to the race, if they want to go into the track early, they're treated to qualifying beforehand. I'm all for shortening the weekends up a little bit, but one-day shows I am not a fan of going forward. I understand that's the way many short tracks operate around the country, but with all due respect, the NASCAR Cup Series is the most prestigious motorsport series in the United States of America. Fans flock to these racetracks expecting to spend multiple days supporting not just the Cup Series, but Xfinity, trucks, watching practice, watching qualifying, getting an idea of who's going to be competitive for the race. NASCAR cannot expect the Cup Series to be a one-day show series. I do not want to see that. I don't think most fans watching at home want to see that. Some drivers may like it. There are many drivers last year that were quite vocal about how they enjoyed not spending as much time in the motorhome, wasting time at the track each weekend. Again, we don't need to see Friday, Saturday, Sunday practice, all that type of stuff, but just shorten it to Saturday and Sunday. I think we can find a pretty easy compromise there. But I want to get back to those comments from Michael Mulvihill from Fox Sports, because here's the thing. I understand in these difficult and unprecedented times that getting rid of practice and qualifying for most races saves teams money. They don't have to prepare a backup car at the track, at the shop each week. They don't burn up tires. They don't use up their engines. I understand. It saves these teams money right now. But where does the money that keeps NASCAR moving really come from? It comes from the networks. They are the ones supplying the cash that keeps NASCAR afloat at this point. And here you have an executive from one of NASCAR's primary TV partners effectively warning NASCAR that, hey, if you don't bring back practice and qualifying soon, we're out. Now, Fox has a contract through 2024. I doubt they can break that contract early. I have no idea. But hey, come 2024, I think NASCAR wants to have as many potential bidders as possible. Sure, Fox may not carry NASCAR after 2024, but you want them to be at least submitting an offer. You want them to be interested, because if Fox is interested and they have a price, that might inspire other companies like a CBS or an NBC to offer more money. You want a bidding war. You want as many networks as possible interested in your sport come 2024. And if you piss off Fox because you will not compromise on practice and qualifying, they're out the door. Now your bidding offer probably gets lower. I just think it's interesting that an actual executive from one of the major networks is explicitly warning NASCAR publicly to bring back practice and qualifying because it matters to the networks. It's something they can sell ad space for. It's something that, while it doesn't bring in the views of a NASCAR Cup Series race, still attracts a significant audience. It's still programming they expect to be able to show. It's part of their multi-billion-dollar contracts. They're warning NASCAR that they need to bring it back as soon as possible. I'm glad that I got the power of Fox Sports, and I'm sure NBC feels the same way. I'm glad I have them at my back now because I also want practice and qualifying to come back as soon as possible. I am still disappointed that only 8 races this year will feature practice or qualifying. I wish that number was a bit higher, but I'll take what I can get. Again, compromising right now, but in 2022, I expect practice and qualifying full time. That should be the goal NASCAR is striving for. They shouldn't be okay with anything less. Anyway, I just wanted to make myself extremely clear on that one. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you want practice and qualifying to come back? What do you think of Fox's comments there? Let me know down in the comments. Now, I want to talk about an interesting story that kind of flew under the radar. I haven't really seen many NASCAR folks talking about these comments, but Kyle Busch recently appeared on the Graham Bensinger show. He's known for doing in-depth interviews. I think that's even the name of his show, In Depth with Graham Bensinger. He does long-form interviews with prominent sports figures, and recently he sat down with Kyle Busch. I watched the interview and Kyle Busch was sharing some funny stories. It was an entertaining piece, but one tidbit, one detail that he shared had to do with his recent split from Adam Stevens, his longtime Cup Series crew chief. Remember, this year, Kyle Busch is teaming up with, I believe it's pronounced Ben Beshore. We've been saying Bayshore this whole time. I believe Joe Gibbs confirmed it's Beshore. So anyway, he's teamed up with a new crew chief this year. Adam Stevens is moving over to Christopher Bell, and Kyle Busch talked to Graham Bensinger about how he felt a bit blindsided by what he calls Adam Stevens' decision to quit the 18 car.
There was some periods of time this year where there was a bit of a struggle there for us, obviously. So I asked Adam for a couple changes to be made over the offseason, and he didn't agree with my philosophy on those changes. So he said, you know what, I'm gonna go do something different and let you do something different, and we'll see what happens.
What were the changes that you requested?
Personnel. He didn't want to make those personnel changes. I was shocked because I was like, well, essentially you just told me you quit on me. So
Kyle Busch says there he was shocked that Adam Stevens chose to leave the 18 team. They had a disagreement on certain personnel. Perhaps that has to do with his pit crew. Of course, I believe Kyle Busch has an all-new pit crew this year. I believe they basically swapped the 20 and 18 teams' pit crews here before the 2021 season. So I guess Kyle Busch did get his wish. He got some new personnel, including an all-new crew chief. Now, Kyle Busch went on in this interview to talk about how his relationship with Adam Stevens, he felt like, was more productive than his relationship with any of his past crew chiefs. Of course, Kyle Busch has now won 2 Cup Series championships, both with Adam Stevens as his crew chief. Busch talked about how he felt like with Adam Stevens, every change almost that they made to the car throughout the weekend or throughout the race made the car better. He hadn't always felt that with other crew chiefs. So Kyle Busch had a lot of positive things to say about Adam Stevens during this interview, but certainly the shocking bit was how that split actually happened. The 18 team struggled last season by their standards. They made the playoffs, but they were out in the round of 12. They did grab a win, but it was very late in the season, that Wednesday night rain out race at Texas. Kyle Busch did not have a Kyle Busch season last year, and all year long we tried to figure out if it was Busch, if it was Stevens, if it was a mix of the two. I said all of last year I felt like the driver-crew chief relationship was more important than ever before. With no practice or qualifying, you had to figure everything out on the fly during the race, and it sounds like Busch and Stevens just had some issues there last season. A different strain was put on their relationship that hadn't been there before. The pressure of performing on Sunday without having Friday and Saturday to fine-tune things, it threw several drivers and crew chiefs, I think, for a loop last season. We saw Chip Ganassi make a crew chief change mid-season, but Kyle Busch saying he felt like Adam Stevens quit on him, that is quite interesting as well. I would be curious to know what specifically those personnel changes were, if it went beyond just like the front tire changer, if it had to do with engineers, things like that. Of course, this interview was shot and even published before Kyle Busch won the Busch Clash Tuesday night, so Kyle Busch and Ben Beshore are now 1-for-1 together, actually. But we'll have to wait and see how that relationship grows throughout the 2021 season. Ben is an all-new rookie Cup Series crew chief. Adam Stevens is working with Christopher Bell now. This really just adds intrigue into the 2021 season, watching Joe Gibbs racing. Who gets off to a better start, the 20 team or the 18 team? Kyle Busch, historically speaking, has been a difficult driver to get along with, but Adam Stevens seemed to have seem to have some sort of gift. I mean, they won 2 championships together. They never really seem to be at each other's throats the way some other high-profile driver crew chief combos have been in the past. Kyle Busch is a passionate guy. Of course, he gets frustrated from time to time, but I really didn't think there were any issues with Adam Stevens or Kyle Busch, their relationship, and apparently neither did Kyle Busch, which is why he was so surprised that all it took was a disagreement on personnel changes for Adam Stevens to walk away and switch to a different Joe Gibbs Racing car. That's a bit shocking. We'll see what role that plays into the start of the 2021 season, but that's going to be a fun story to watch throughout the year. That sort of friendly rivalry, if you will, between the 20 and the 18. That's what I think this is going to turn into. But let me know what you guys thought of that clip. Are you surprised to hear Kyle Busch say that? He's been saying a lot of things this offseason. Earlier in the offseason, he was saying he felt like he got fired from the 18 car when they swapped pit crews and stuff like that. So Kyle Busch has said a lot of things. I think he's still coping with the sudden shift in personnel from last season to this season. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. That's all I've got for today's episode. Be sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. We talk NASCAR daily. The season is here, so the news, the videos, nothing is slowing down. As always, a tremendous thank you to my amazing Patreon supporters as well. I could not do this show without your continued support. Thank you again to Alka Seltzer for sponsoring this episode. I hope you all enjoyed the Truck Series race tonight. I don't know when I'll see you next. I may not see you until after the Daytona 500. We'll be doing a live stream reaction right after the checkered flag, and then of course I'll upload another Out of the Groove later in the evening. We'll put the race on the Groovy Gauge, talk about all the stories, all the action that takes place on Sunday. Stay tuned, y'all. A lot of big things to come this season. I hope you enjoy. I will see y'all very, very soon.